Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show, Team Chicago Challenge. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. Our website is teamchicago.tv. We're at the Klairmont Kollection. It's a sad state because the entire collection is being sold. Now they invited me in. I'm doing a TV show. I'm going to show you my 10 favorite vehicles in the collection. And I may come back tomorrow for the auction. I'm looking at one particular item and I might bid on it, so I may be back tomorrow. But don't forget my email, teamdan45@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear from my audience. My favorite car in the entire collection is this 1937 Rolls-Royce Phantom 3 Aero Coupe. This car comes with a V12 engine making 165 horsepower. When the Phantom 3 was announced in 1935, this V12 engine replaced a straight 6. Inspired by Rolls-Royce's extensive experience building aircraft V12s, Rolls-Royce could now compete with Cadillac and Packard that also sold cars with V12 engines. When the original body could not be salvaged, the owners shipped it to Classic Auto Rebuilders in Cameron, Wisconsin to create an Art Deco inspired replacement coupe. This car is powerful looking and sexy. And now we're looking at the 1926 Rickenbacker 8 Super Sport. This straight 8 engine produced 105 horsepower, and this car was capable of cruising at over 100 miles per hour. But it also came with 4 hydraulic brakes to make it safe. When Eddie Rickenbacker joined the service during World War I, he became America's top ace with 26 confirmed kills. Prior to the war, he was a race car driver. He also promoted the Indianapolis 500-mile race. This 1926 New York Auto Show car went at auction for $440,000. The Rolls-Royce Phantom 3 sold at auction for $352,000. Both of these automobiles were bold, powerful, and sexy. There are 2 new happy owners of wonderful cars from this auction that are leaving with their wallets a little bit lighter. And now we're looking at a 1933 Rolls-Royce Phantom 2. As you may or may not know, there were a number of companies that were building bodies for Rolls-Royce. This one here is a Honduran Mahogany Boattail with the body work by W.B. Carter Coach. Just imagine bending wood to make the fenders. Look at the craftsmanship here. Now you may say, how can you build a car out of wood? There are plenty of Chris Craft boats made of wood from that era that are still being used. So wood is a good material, but you can imagine that a fender bender would be very costly if you owned this car. And this car went at auction for $192,000. And now let's talk to Matt Avery with Mecum Auctions. He's going to tell us about this auction and tell us about Mecum Auction Company.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Avery, one of the on-air hosts for Mecum Auctions, hosting the Mecum in the Morning as well as On the Move with Matt Avery. And this weekend we are at the Klairmont Collection near downtown Chicago for Larry's Legacy Auction. It's going to be exciting a couple days ahead.
So, do you know why they're selling everything here? Do you have the backstory?
Yeah, so Larry Klairmont was a very active automotive enthusiast here in the Chicagoland area, and over the last number of years amassed a very unique treasure trove of collector cars, trucks, motorcycles, and thousands of pieces of road art. And so he had opened it as a museum under the Klairmont Collection, and so now the foundation just is going to take a different direction with it. So today is actually the final day that's available for the public to see before it all sells tomorrow. This weekend, the auction days, Saturday and Sunday, will only be limited to bidders just because of the space. But we've had an incredible opportunity to be able to show the people here in this area what it looked like before it all sells.
No, that's great, because I've done a show here before, and I was involved with a couple other activities with the Klairmont people, and I'm just shocked because it's such a great collection of cars, motorcycles, Vespas. I'm going to see about the Vespas too. Maybe I could pick up a Vespa.
Yeah, there's a lot of two-wheeled stuff here, and you know, the thing that I'm struck by is the diversity from a collecting standpoint. You know, Larry really had one of the most unique collections that I've ever seen. There's custom cars, there's pre-war classics, there's muscle, there's microcars, and above us there's even some airplanes. So I think he really sought out the things that brought him joy. You know, it wasn't just one particular make, wasn't one particular model. It was really whatever happened to strike his fancy.
Well, he was a United States Marine, and he fought in World War II. And from what I understand, he started out in the dry cleaning business, and that worked his way into real estate. And this used to be a printing press here.
Right. Yeah, and it's a large facility. It's just the displays have been phenomenal. Just how it was laid out, the illumination behind it, and then just a lot of the curation about how the vehicles were presented. It was very unique.
Right. No, it was a great place, and I'm dearly going to miss it. So.
Right.
So, tell me about your company. How many different shows you do? I know you got one coming up at Indy soon.
Yeah.
And how can people find out what's being bid, and tell me about your website? And
yeah, so we're Mecum Auction, so headquartered not too far away in Walworth, Wisconsin. And so we host live collector car, motorcycle, and road art auctions all around the country throughout the course of a year. So while we're here focusing on Larry's Legacy, right behind it, we'll be headed off to the Indiana State Fairgrounds for our next auction. And then we've got several more before the end of the calendar year. We'll be in Vegas, Dallas-Fort Worth, in Kansas City. And of course, people can find out more at mecum.com, MECUM. And then as we close out the year, we look forward to January and kicking off in Kissimmee. That's one of our largest and one of our most exciting events that we do.
And that's the one that's on TV all the time. That's a big...
Yeah, a lot of people, yeah. So we will have our TV coverage on ESPN Plus, but the majority of our auctions throughout the course of a year are televised, not just the Kissimmee one.
Right. Okay, so website again?
So mecum.com, MECUM. If people want to find out more about Larry's Legacy, they can head there, and there's a tab. They can register to bid. You don't have to be in person for tomorrow and Sunday. You can bid over the phone, over the internet. You get more of the details on our website.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, for all that important information. As we look at some of the signage, neon signs, and artwork that Larry Klairmont collected, my number 4 choice is the 1937 Cord 812 Beverly Coupe. This car came with a V8 engine, front-wheel drive, and independent front suspension. Some of these cars were available with supercharging. The front end featured hidden headlights, first for any production car, and instead of the traditional radiator shell, the core radiator was hidden behind a sleek wraparound grille and a uniquely shaped hood. This 1937 Cord 812 Beverly Sedan is an attractive, usable example of one of the most iconic American automobiles of all time. The Cord, the Duesenberg, and the Auburn were all built by the same company in Indiana. We are now looking at a 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster Replica. The original 1936 Auburn came with a 280 cubic inch inline 8-cylinder engine making 150 horsepower. It had a 3-speed manual transmission and a 2-speed rear end. This Auburn Boattail Speedster could top 100 miles per hour. This 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster went at auction for $79,200. The 37 Cord Beverly Sedan sold at auction for $60,500. And now we're looking at a replica of Adam West, my favorite Batman. And also Robin, but this mannequin does not look like the original Robin, but he is sitting in a go-kart, which is part the Batcycle. It's a 250cc two-stroke Yamaha motorcycle, and this set went at auction for $37,750. We are now looking at the 1966 Batmobile Replica, built to the original 1966 TV car specifications. If you want to catch the Batman shows, they're on right after Spinguli if you live in Chicagoland on Saturday nights. And that Batman series followed the comic book, which were fun with great villains. This is a running car, and I have seen it many times at different events. This 1989 Batmobile Replica sold for $165,000 at auction, but this is when Batman went to the dark side, in my opinion. Now, I haven't read any Batman comic books in a long time, but this seems to be, the movies got a little darker than the original TV show. The 1966 Batmobile Replica went for $220,000. The Batman and Robin mannequins went for $4,425. And this Batman set was my 6th favorite in this auction. My 7th favorite is this set of Corvettes. This is a 1954 Chevrolet Corvette Roadster. It came with a 150 horsepower 6-cylinder engine and a power glide with 3 side draft carburetors. The 53 and 54 Corvette shared the same bodywork. This is a beautiful car, and it sold for $110,000. Next, we're looking at a 1961 Corvette Convertible with the typical Corvette side trim. There was many engine options. The majority were 289 V8 engines. You could get a 3-speed or a 4-speed or a power glide transmission. I believe the 1960, 61, and 62 Corvettes all shared what I call the Stingray rear end design. Because here is the 1963 Stingray Split Window Coupe, 1963, the only year that they had the Split Window Coupe. 327 V8 engines were standard, I believe. You could get a 4-speed trans or a power glide. Fuel injection was also available. This looks like a 100-point car. Split window coupes are always desirable. And this car went for, in auction, for $132,000. The 61 Corvette went for $77,000. And now we spot 3 mannequins from the TV show Motorsports Unlimited. Now the mannequin in the center represents Bill Wilt, but does not look like Bill Wilt, but that is one of Bill's sport coats. Bill Wilt was one of my best friends. We met racing motorcycles at Sycamore Speedway. We raced at Santa Fe Speedway starting in 1970. I'm showing you this 1956 T-Bird, 2-seater. Bill Wilt and I had many discussions about how GM stuck with the 2-seat Corvettes, and that became the iconic automobile for General Motors. The 2-seat T-Bird was only available in 55, 56, and 57, and I believe they made a big mistake, and Bill agreed with me when they went to the 4-seat T-Birds in 58. And now we're looking at what I consider group number 8 of my favorite. Here's a great set of Vespa. I know quite a bit about Vespas. I restored my brother's 1956 Vespa many years ago. Most of these Vespas sold in the range of $4,000 to $5,000. And the years were from 1966, I believe, through the 1970s. Larry Klairmont loved all vehicles, and you could tell when you seen the number of Vespas he collected and other 2- and 3-wheel vehicles. We are now looking at a 1960 Cushman pop cart. Cushman, besides making scooters, also made many of these utility vehicles. This pop cart sold for $24,200. That Ford T-Bird sold for $30,800, and the Bill Wilt Mannequin sold for $826. We're looking at a U.S. Army mini bike with trailer. I don't know where Larry Klairmont found this, but this did sell for $3,186. We are now looking at what I consider the most historic and important vehicle in the entire collection. This is a Roper steam motorcycle, I call it, 2-wheel vehicle powered by steam, built in 1867. Imagine that. 2 years after the Civil War, this vehicle was built and ran. Wooden wheels, a steam boiler, 2 pistons driving the rear wheel with the flywheel effect on the outside of the wheel. He was so far ahead of his time. Sylvester Roper was a great inventor but not much of an entrepreneur salesman. This vehicle could have revolutionized transportation 30 to 40 years earlier than the turn of the last century. This is a replica built by Bill Edgars from Goshen, Connecticut. The original one is in the Smithsonian. And a few of these replicas were made. I paid the bid so I could bid on this replica. In auction, it went for $18,290. A little bit out of my price range, but a real important vehicle. Not enough people respect what Sylvester Roper created. And finally, as we see this photo of Larry Klairmont, this was his vehicle that he used to promote his real estate company. It looks like a train. This is a 1928 Graham-Paige Model 837 Long Wheelbase Limousine. It was built for Paramount Studios by coach builder Harry McGee and used to promote films. Larry used it to promote his real estate business, Imperial Real Estate. Larry was a United States Marine. He joined the Marines when he was 16 during World War II, and he fought in Iwo Jima. After the war, he opened up a dry cleaning business, Imperial Dry Cleaners, on the northwest side of Chicago. He then got involved with real estate, and he was very, very successful. As you could see, he also bought this building that at one time was a printing press. He grew up in Chicago. He was born on December 17th, 1926. And you could see where he invested his money in this lovely museum on the northwest side of Chicago, Belmont and Knox Avenue. He invested his money in all these great automobiles, all this great artwork. Everything sold for $16.5 million. I'm sure it was a great investment, but Larry died on July 18th, 2021, and I'm sure the museum would still be open if he was still alive. Most of these signs and neon lights were grouped together. The average selling price for groups for $2,000 to $4,000. Some of these neon signs went for $10,000. I was so lucky to be invited to do this TV show, and I want to thank the folks from Mecum Auction for allowing me to do a show and the great information we got from Matt Avery. As we look outside, there was more cars. Unbelievable collection. One man, love of the automobile. He also had a few airplanes. Some were just models, replicas, and some might have been real flying airplanes, like this one. This reminds me of another story of a man that made his money in Chicago in cellophane. From the middle of Nebraska is where he grew up, and he built Pioneer Village. And he collected everything made in America going back to the early 1700s at Pioneer Village. This was a great collection here in Chicago. Not enough people appreciate museums nowadays. The National Motorcycle Museum in Iowa was shut down a couple years ago. Here's a couple dates for auctions coming up. Fort Worth, Texas, October 29th through November 1st. Las Vegas Convention Center, November 13th through 15th. Kansas City, December 4th through 6th. And South Point Casino in Las Vegas, January 28th through 31st in 2026 with 2,000 motorcycles. I should point out that you have to pay a fee in order to bid at these auctions. To contact me, and I love to hear from my audience, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. And remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action, Dan Schmitt Politics to learn what makes America great, and you can always subscribe to my channel. I highly encourage you to visit the World of Motorcycle Museum. They're in Winamac, Indiana, 4 miles south of North Judson on Indiana Highway 39. But give them a call first at 574-896-3172. It's a great trip and a great collection of motorcycles. And I highly encourage you to pick out a copy of the Team Chicago History Package at Rich's Yamaha in Lockport, Illinois. But give them a call first at 815-838-8130. Their website is richesyamaha.com. And if you want to learn everything there is to know about motorcycles, there's nothing like going to a swap meet. Here's a few dates of swap meets: Woodstock, Illinois; Morris, Illinois; Shepherdsville, Kentucky; Princeton, Illinois; Springfield, Ohio. Remember, walneckswap.com, walneckswap.com for more info.